My name is Mabel Van Loen, and I'm 35 years old, the youngest of three daughters born into a family that wears Southern tradition like armor. While my sisters became high-gloss versions of our mother, poised, married, and managing legacy trust funds, I work in a cramped legal office in Richmond, filing papers for people who'll never learn my name. I've always been the one who stayed behind, who cleaned up, who got blamed. The quiet one. The overlooked one. The expendable one. I was the only one not invited to my father's will reading, and no one asked why. Maybe because they all knew I'd show up anyway, especially when I learned what my ex-husband was hiding. And especially when I saw who he was marrying. The invitation came on a Tuesday. Heavy cardstock. Gold foil. Embossed lettering. Classic Wexley flair. The envelope reeked of cologne and overcompensation. I didn't open it right away. I studied it, his name, hers, the words to celebrate new beginnings, as if the truth could bleed through paper. I opened it with a scalpel, not scissors. A scalpel. Precision matters when you're about to dissect something poisonous. Inside was exactly what I expected. A private estate in Shenandoah. Champagne brunch. Black tie ceremony. The new Mrs. Wexley, Shara Maddox. What I didn't expect was the second document. Tucked behind the RSVP card, folded like a secret, was a finalized property deed. The signature at the bottom? Mine. I never signed this. Wexley Lakeside, the house Truett and I co-owned before the split. I was supposed to keep it. The agreement had been clear. This deed said otherwise. Transferred full ownership to Truett Wexley. Dated 2 weeks ago. Notarized. Stamped. Legal. Except it wasn't. I stared at my name. At the handwriting pretending to be mine. There's a difference between mimicry and theft. He had crossed the line. I called Madison from legal records. Quiet voice. Loyal friend. She checked the county system. You're off the deed. He filed it digitally from an IP out of Arlington. But I didn't. He must have had access to your digital signature. My stomach turned. I'd used Truett's laptop once. Years ago. For taxes. Password-protected PDFs. Trust is such a stupid form of self-destruction. I didn't cry. I laughed. Then I opened my drawer and took out the box. A small, black velvet gift box. Empty for now. But not for long. The woman. Shira. I had seen her before. Not in society pages. Not in bridal magazines. In court. She was part of a sealed file. A financial investigation flagged under a different name. Marla Reese. The nose was the same. The eyes, too wide. She'd been a witness, or maybe more. I pulled the file from Archive Recall. Needed a key code. I typed it. Access denied. Someone had pulled it. Recently. I didn't need confirmation. I had instinct. Instinct sharpens in silence, in years of being dismissed. Of cleaning up after messes no one admits making. I stood up. Packed the box.
No RSVP. No polite decline.
No +1. Let him wonder. Let her smile through the acid. Let them open it in front of their beautiful people, their linen suits and flutes of rose. Some people believe revenge is a dish best served cold. But this isn't revenge. This is evidence. Let them unwrap what they started. Piece by piece. The estate rose out of the Shenandoah Hills like a fortress pretending to be a wedding venue. Iron gates. Gravel crunching under tires. Security at the drive, smiling too much. I parked at the edge of the lot, far from the lights. Far from witnesses. The gift box sat on the passenger seat, small, black, patient. People say the past can't follow you forever. They're wrong. It just learns new routes.
Cut.
Ballroom. Crystal chandeliers. White roses everywhere. Linen so clean it felt accusatory. A string quartet tuned their instruments, the sound sharp, anxious, like they knew something was about to break. Heads turned when I walked in. Not dramatic. Not loud. But noticeable. I wore black. Not mourning. Strategy. You don't blend in at a wedding unless you want to disappear. I didn't. Truett saw me before Shira did. His smile froze mid-conversation. A half-second delay. That's all it took. Fear always leaks through timing. He crossed the room fast. "Mabel," he said, voice low, teeth clenched. "You shouldn't be here. You sent the invitation." That was a formality. So was our marriage. He looked past me, scanning, calculating exits. Truett always believed control was about anticipation. He forgot one thing. Control fails when the variables come back. "Enjoy the party," I said. "I brought a gift."
Cut.
Shira turned. Up close, she was immaculate. Ivory dress. Hair pinned just right. Eyes bright, rehearsed. She smiled like someone who'd practiced in mirrors for years. "Mabel," she said like my name was a word she'd just learned. "I'm so glad you came."
Lie. Clean.
Effortless. I handed her the box.
For you, I said.
"Open it later." Her fingers hesitated. A flicker. Recognition. Or imagination. Hard to tell. "Of course," she said. "Thank you." People believe weddings are about love. They're really about witnesses.
Cut. Bar.
I ordered club soda.
Clear. No stands.
A man beside me leaned in. "Maddie Carter," he whispered. "County clerk's office. We'd buried paperwork together once. Your name's still on the lake house." "Kind of." "What does kind of mean?" He glanced around. Too many suits. Too many years. The record was altered. Digitally. Backdated. Someone with admin access. 2 weeks ago. He nodded. And someone wiped the audit trail. I exhaled slowly. That's a felony. So, is pretending it never happened. He left without another word. Cowardice isn't loud. It just walks away early.
Cut.
Dance floor. Truett and Shira spun under gold light. Applause. Phones raised. Everyone documenting happiness like proof might make it real. I watched Truett's left hand.
He kept clenching it.
Opening. Closing.
A tell.
He did that when he lied. When he lost money. When he thought he'd won. A voice drifted behind me. "We'll clean the trail before she finds it." Male. Controlled. Legal cadence. The groom's attorney. Gray hair. Perfect posture. I turned my head just enough. "You sure the signature holds?" he asked. "It passed notarization," Truett said. "She won't fight it." People fight when they're cornered. "She's not cornered," Truett said. "She's predictable." I smiled into my glass. People confuse silence with compliance. That's how predators sleep.
Cut.
Restroom hallway. A woman bumped into me hard enough to hurt. Red dress. Too much perfume. "Sorry," she said. Then, quieter. "You're being watched." "By whom?" She shook her head.
Gone.
I checked my phone. No signal. The estate blocked reception. Of course it did. Privacy, they called it. Isolation by design. The mirrors reflected 100 versions of me.
Calm. Still.
Breathing evenly. Someone once told me that the truth doesn't need volume. It needs timing.
Cut.
Ballroom again. A toast was announced. Glasses raised. The quartet fell silent. Shira stood at the center, glowing. Truett's hand rested on her back. Possessive. Protective. Afraid. "To new beginnings," she said. "And to the people who helped us get here." Her eyes flicked to me. Applause. The gift box sat on the table between them. Untouched. Waiting. A storm rolled in outside. Thunder low. Windows rattled. For a moment, the room felt like it was holding its breath with me. I stepped closer. Just enough for Truett to hear. "Some lessons," I said softly, "only work when the audience is full." He swallowed. I leaned in, close enough to smell his cologne. The same one he wore when he signed our divorce papers. The same one he wore when he lied under oath. "She doesn't know what's inside that box," I murmured. "But he does." The music swelled. Laughter rose. Glasses clinked like a warning system no one listened to. I slipped out through the side corridor while the room leaned into joy. Distraction works best when it feels earned. I passed the catering station, nodded to a waiter, palmed a wireless receiver from my clutch. Legal conferences hand them out like candy.
Tonight it was a key. Cut.
Service hallway. Fluorescent lights. A janitor's cart humming. My breath measured.
In. Out.
I counted my steps. People think courage is loud. It isn't. It's procedural. I ducked into the AV closet.
Locked. Of course it was.
I slid the card, old access badge, never returned, into the reader. Green light. Sometimes bureaucracy is a gift that keeps giving. Inside, racks of equipment blinked like eyes. I plugged the receiver into the mixer. Tested the channel.
Static.
Then clear. Ready. I whispered to no one.
Cut.
Ballroom. Shira raised her glass for the final toast. The room leaned forward. Phones rose again. Truitt's hand tightened at her waist, not loving, owning. He glanced at the gift box. Still unopened. His jaw set.
To beginnings, Shira said.
To truth.
To.
I stepped forward. Open it, I said. A ripple. Murmurs. A laugh from somewhere. Truitt's eyes burned holes into me. He shook his head once.
Small.
Desperate. Shira smiled, brittle.
Now.
Now, I said. She lifted the lid. A flash drive.
Black.
Unassuming. No note.
Not even.
Just wait. Truitt moved. Too fast. He reached, then stopped when every camera turned. Performance is a trap when you don't control the stage.
Play it, I said.
Shira hesitated. Her pupils flared. Recognition this time.
Real.
You said, she started. I leaned in.
Low. Come.
Truth doesn't wait for permission. She plugged it into the podium's port. The quartet fell silent as if cued. The speakers popped. Then his voice.
Clear. Familiar.
Confident. We moved the deed through the county portal. Digital notarization. Her signature's on file. She used my laptop. Once the funds clear, we routed offshore. Another voice. The attorney. And if she contests. Truitt again. A soft laugh. She won't. She never does. A woman's voice, Shira's, cut in. What if it comes back to me? Then you marry me, Truitt said. Clean image. New money. Everyone wins. The room stopped breathing. Phones lowered. Faces drained. The sound system kept going merciless. And if she figures it out? The attorney asked. Truitt exhaled. By the time she does, it won't matter. Silence slammed into the room like a held breath released too late.
Cut.
Reaction shots. A mother's hand over her mouth. A groomsman swearing. Someone laughed, too loud, wrong. A glass slipped from a hand and shattered near the dance floor. Shira's glass fell next. It broke at my feet. You set us up, she said. Her voice wasn't accusation.
It was awe.
Truitt lunged for the podium.
Security moved.
Too late. The damage had already spread. Truth travels faster than apologies.
He pointed at me.
She edited it. I shook my head. Chain of custody matters. Original files. Timestamps. Locations. I tapped my phone. And backups. A man in a Navy suit stepped forward. County investigator. I'd seen him at filings. He nodded once. Recognition. Sir, he said to Truitt, we're going to need you to step aside. Truitt's smile returned. The old one. The one that made people doubt themselves. This is a misunderstanding. Misunderstandings don't notarize, the investigator said.
Cut.
Security closed in. Guests backed away, the way people do when they realize they've been standing too close to a fire. The attorney slipped toward the exit. I clocked it. So did another man, this one with federal posture. He blocked the door. Shira stared at Truitt. Her veil trembled. You told me it was clean. He grabbed her arm. We're leaving. She yanked free. You said I was safe. I thought of something my mother used to say. Safety is a story men tell when they want silence. Another thought surfaced, colder. Power doesn't apologize. It accelerates. Truitt turned to me. His voice dropped. You think you won? I think the room heard you, I said. That's enough. Sirens bled through the walls.
Distant.
Approaching. Someone had called it in. Noise complaint, maybe. Or conscience. Either way, clocks were moving. The investigator raised a hand. Mr. Wexley, we're detaining you pending further inquiry. Truitt's face hardened. He took one step back. Then another. Then he ran. Chaos. Chairs scraped. Security surged. Guests screamed. I moved too, toward the side exit, where Shira bolted, veil trailing like a flag of surrender. Rain hammered the terrace. Wind tore at flowers. Lightning split the sky. I chased her past the hedges, heels sinking, breath tearing. She slipped, caught herself, turned, eyes wild. He's dangerous, she said. He said, if I didn't do this. A figure burst from the darkness.
Truitt.
He shoved her.
Hard.
She went down, shoulder cracking against stone. I fell with her. Pain flared white. My hand closed on something sharp. Broken glass. Thunder roared. Then a gunshot cracked the night, close enough to stop my heart. The sound didn't echo. It punched. A gunshot is never cinematic up close. It's blunt.
Ugly.
Final. The night swallowed the crack and spat back chaos. I hit the ground with Shira. Wet stone. Blood or rain. Hard to tell. My ears rang. Somewhere, someone screamed my name. Or maybe hers.
Cut.
Don't move, a voice yelled. Flashlights cut through the rain. White beams jittered. Security. Then another voice, sharper, trained. Law enforcement. The sirens had arrived faster than Truitt expected. They always do when arrogance runs ahead of planning. I rolled to my knees. My palm burned. The shard of glass was gone. Gun, someone shouted. Another cut. Truitt stood near the hedgerow, soaked, wild-eyed. The pistol hung loose in his hand, disbelief etched across his face, as if the sound surprised him more than anyone else. I didn't, he started. A guard tackled him. The gun skidded across stone, stopped inches from my foot. I stared at it.
Black. Cold. Real.
Shira coughed. I crawled to her.
Hey, I said.
Calm voice. A lie you tell so others can breathe. Stay with me. Her veil clung to her face. She tore it off. He said you'd never go this far. I didn't go far, I said. I told the truth. Someone once told me truth doesn't escalate violence. Lies do. Tonight, the proof lay bleeding in the rain.
Cut.
Paramedics. Blue gloves. A stretcher. Shira winced as they lifted her. Shoulder dislocated. Bruised ribs. She was lucky. Truitt wasn't. They cuffed him on the terrace, rain slicking his hair flat.
He looked smaller like that.
Reduced. The investigator, from inside, read him his rights. Truitt stared at me the entire time. You think this ends it? He shouted. You think you're safe now? I met his gaze. I think you ran out of exits. They pulled him away. The night exhaled.
Cut.
Inside, the ballroom was unrecognizable. Chairs overturned. Glass everywhere. People whispered like they'd woken from a dream they couldn't admit they enjoyed. Cameras hovered. Phones vibrated. The story was already writing itself. I leaned against a pillar. My hands shook. Not fear. Release. The body needs somewhere to put adrenaline when it's done lying to itself. A woman in a raincoat approached. Late 40s. No badge displayed, but the posture was federal. She studied me like a file. Mabel Van Loan, she said. Yes.
I'm Lerin Khale.
The name landed heavy. I'd heard it in hallways. In sealed memos. People said when she entered a room, secrets adjusted themselves. We need to talk, she said. Privately.
Cut.
Wine cellar.
Cool.
Stone. The smell of oak and metal. Truitt lay on a bench, wrists cuffed behind him, jaw clenched. Blood trickled from a cut near his temple.
Alive.
Furious. Laureen closed the door. The sound echoed like a verdict. This ends tonight, she said to him. You can cooperate, or you can add obstruction to the list. He laughed.
Vet.
Broken. You don't have her. Lorene glanced at me. That's where you're wrong. She turned to Shira, who sat on a crate, arm in a sling, face pale. Ms. Maddox. Or, is it Reese? Shira flinched. I didn't choose this, Shira said. He blackmailed me. He had recordings. Photos. He said if I didn't marry him, he'd ruin me. Truitt snarled. You liar. Quiet, Lorene said. It wasn't loud.
It worked.
She looked at me again. You recorded him too. Yes, I said. Where's the original? Safe. How safe? Safer than his temper. She nodded. Approval flickered. This isn't his first time. Shira's eyes snapped up. 3 years ago, Lorene continued, a partner vanished after a property dispute. Offshore transfers. Forged signatures. Same pattern. Truitt went still. Patterns don't lie, Lorene said. People do.
Cut.
The officers returned. Paperwork. Statements. Mandatory reports. The night slowed into process. That's how danger retreats, through forms and fluorescent lights. I stepped outside. Dawn pressed against the horizon, thin and gray. The estate looked ordinary again. That was the most unsettling part. Shira limped toward me. I thought marrying him would protect me. Protection isn't proximity, I said. It's leverage.
She studied me.
Why help me? I thought of my sisters, my family, years of swallowing blame, because it was easier than being loud. Because silence is expensive, I said. And it always charges interest. A shout behind us. Truitt being moved. He twisted, eyes locked on me. This isn't over, he said. You don't know what you started. I believed him. Some people mistake arrest for the end of a story. It's just a chapter break. Shira leaned close. He won't stay quiet. I watched the sun break through cloud, weak but persistent. Neither will I. She swallowed. What if he gets out? I didn't answer right away. I felt it then, the shift. The sense of being watched hadn't left. It had sharpened. Behind the estate, an engine turned over.
Slow.
Intentional. I followed the sound with my eyes as a dark sedan rolled past the gate and disappeared down the hill. I didn't recognize the driver, but I recognized the timing. He wouldn't stay unconscious forever. And when he woke up, this wouldn't be the only ending he planned. The cellar door slammed shut behind us. Soundproof walls.
Cold air. No windows.
Shira's breathing was ragged. Her sling was soaked through. She sat on a crate marked Merlot 1989 and tried not to shake. I didn't ask if it was pain or memory. It didn't matter. I should have run earlier, she said. You still can, I replied. But not without finishing this. We stared at Truitt's body. Slumped.
Alive. Cuffed. Bruised.
Unconscious. I checked his pulse again. Still there. Still dangerous. Help me drag him, I said. Shira blinked. Where? Far enough.
Cut.
Behind the third wine shelf, an access panel. Lorene told me it was built during the estate's original ownership. Smugglers. Ironic, considering Truitt's talent for moving money no one could trace. We hauled him through the narrow corridor. One breath at a time. Blood on the tiles. Our shoes slick. Every sound louder underground.
Cut.
We reached the old vault room.
Dust. Rot.
Steel. I locked the inner latch. This buys us time, I said. Shira dropped to her knees. What if he dies? Then we improvise. I turned to call Lorene. She picked up on the first ring. You moved him? She asked. I had to.
Fine.
Listen carefully. We've started the paperwork for asset freeze. But it's complicated. Offshore accounts, Shell Core, Cayman routing. If we lose track now, we lose the whole net. So we hold, I said. Hold and stall. And Mabel, watch for pushback. He's not the only one invested in this outcome.
Cut.
Upstairs, the estate buzzed. Officers collected statements. Guests gave phone footage. The media was outside, vultures circling a story not even half written. I ducked out the service exit. Rain had turned to mist. Fog crawled down the hill like it had its own purpose. Sheriff followed close. Where are we going? Somewhere quiet. I drove us to the cabin. Wexley Lakeside. The one he tried to steal.
Ours. Mine.
The porch creaked beneath our weight. Inside, everything was untouched. Just like the day I left.
Cut.
I lit a fire. The heat didn't reach my skin. Some places stay cold long after the flames arrive. Shira paced. She looked smaller now. Her voice didn't match the woman from the ballroom. He made me sign things I didn't understand. Tax forms. Trust documents.
Nedea after Nedea. Said it was standard.
Said I'd thank him later. Power never asks for understanding, I said. It demands trust and punishes questions.
She paused.
Do you still love him? I didn't answer. Because love isn't the right word for what remains after betrayal.
Cut.
My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered.
Static.
Then, you think this is done? Truett's voice. I froze. Shira saw it in my face. Where are you? I asked. Silence. Then a click. Line dead. I checked the vault camera. Still active. Still locked. So how did he get a phone? Shira stepped back. What if someone helped him? Lorraine's voice echoed in my mind. He's not the only one invested in this outcome.
Cut.
I opened the safe. Inside, old documents. Our prenup. My father's handwritten letter from the will I was excluded from. And one flash drive I didn't remember placing there. Black. Unmarked. I plugged it into my laptop. A video.
Truett.
Younger. Cleaner. Recording himself. To protect assets, he said to the camera, you must anticipate legal sabotage. Emotional leverage. So you plan ahead. He detailed strategies. Not for escape. For destruction. In the background, my voice. Laughing. It was dated 2 years before the divorce. Before everything. He planned all of it. I forged the first signature the day she forgot our anniversary, he said. I knew she'd never read the fine print. Shira gasped. I felt nothing. Nothing but confirmation. Some men don't lie to win. They lie to erase. I ejected the drive. You need to go, I told Shira. To where? Anywhere that's not next to me when I do what comes next. Her eyes widened. What are you going to do? I looked out the window. Fog pressed against the glass. Finish what he started, I said. But with truth instead of blood. Outside, a pair of headlights cut through the trees. Too slow to be passing. Too precise to be accidental. The lake was still. Too still. Like a held breath waiting to be released. I stood on the dock with the early morning fog crawling at my feet. My phone was in hand. Lorraine's number flashed once. Then went dark. No call back.
Standard protocol, she said.
But I knew better.
Cut.
The lake reflected gray clouds.
No brise. No verts.
Just the muted ripples from a single paddle dropped on wood. I saw him first near the tree line, Truett Wexley.
Alive.
Ugly, smiling. Hands shoved deep in his pockets. Like nothing had happened. I should have called the police. But I didn't. Because when a man like Truett decides to wake up from betrayal, he doesn't come ambulances. He comes guns drawn. He didn't have one. Not yet. But his eyes were loaded. Thought you'd come here, he said. Voice low. Calculated. Like he was selling a lie he already believed. Not thought, I corrected. Knew. He blinked. That was good. The shock of recognition shifts power. Just a fraction, but enough.
Cut.
I reached into my coat. Small flash drive. The last one. The one I found in the cabin safe. This, I said. Your final confession. His face twitched, not fear. That's amateur. This was disbelief. You don't have rights to hold that, he said. I smiled. Rights? Rights are written by people who survived betrayals worse than yours. Truett took a step closer. You know, he said, people who dig up the past end up buried by it. I didn't flinch, because I'd already clawed my way through the dirt. My father used to say, the truth isn't a weapon, it's an anchor. But he never knew what happens when you let go of both. Lightning cut the sky, thin white slash. We both flinched. The thunder came right after. We never hear the flash, only the crash.
Cut.
I told him everything. Too much truth. Too fast. The inheritance letters. The doctored trust clauses. The offshore accounts. How he planned to make me disappear legally. How he coached Shira like a script. Shock began to show through his arrogance. I dropped the drive on the dock. You need to hear this, I said. Long pause. He hesitated. Then, the drive clicked open. Speakers hummed. His own voice. A confession. Not one for money laundering. Not one for fraud. But for a crime no one knew he'd committed. A partner gone missing. No body. No evidence. Just a whisper in the legal archives. A missing person file never closed. That was the whisper that became loud. Shira had told Lorene about rumors. About funds funneled into accounts no one audited. About strange late-night calls. About a silence that didn't feel empty. It felt intentional. The audio detailed every move. Every misstep. Every lie. Cold as the lake water at my feet. Truett tried to scream. Nothing came out. Because the truth weighed more.
Cut.
Sirens.
Not distant this time.
Coming here. Lorene, at the wheel of a patrol SUV. Flashing lights through the fog. Red and blue against gray. The world looked wounded. She stepped out. Wordless. Commanding. Truett sank to his knees. A confession in his own voice. Captured without coercion. Recorded. Irrefutable. 2 agents emerged. One cuffed him. The other read writes.
No teatrix.
No last-minute escape. Just law. Real and immovable.
Cut.
Shira arrived later, unsteady but present. She stood shoulder to shoulder with me on the dock. The lake stayed calm. Hardly a ripple. She whispered, Is it really over? I remembered a line I once heard. Truth rebounds, but justice stays centered. I didn't know who said it, but I used it now. I nodded. Not because it was over, but because it was starting anew. I turned toward the cabin. The door was open. Morning light spilled inside. Dust motes danced like tiny witnesses. The world was waking.
Slowly.
The lodge looked less like a victim, more like reclaiming its purpose. I walked up the steps. Shira followed. No words. Just the weight of possibility. I reached the threshold.
Paused.
Then stepped in. And closed the door behind me. Silence. But not absence. Resolution. I walked to the old desk. Unlocked the top drawer. Placed the flash drive inside a legal envelope. Stamped and notarized. Delivered to Lorene. Copies sent to authorities. Everything transparent. No shadows left.
Cut.
Downstairs, I packed the last of my things. Shira lingered in the doorway. I want to help rebuild, she said. Then you will, I replied. Not as accomplice, but as witness. As survivor. As someone who chose truth over convenience. They say forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Maybe that's true. Because I'd spent years collecting reasons to hurt. Only to discover the real battle was learning to stand. Not on revenge, on justice. I stepped outside.
Sunlight now. Strong. Warm.
Not blinding. Balanced. The lake was still again. But not silent. A new wind stirred the surface. Small waves. Perfectly imperfect. I breathed in.
Deep.
And out. I wasn't the girl who walked in unnoticed anymore. I was the woman who walked out unbroken. And finally free.